I will never give up my conviction that Russians and Ukrainians are one people. Russia has long used the concept of one people because it denies the existence of Ukrainians as a separate nation. However, Ukraine and Russia developed under different historical circumstances. They have significant cultural and political differences, let alone language and identity. But let's start with history. 9th century, a new state called Kievan Rus is found on the territory of the Middle Dnipro around Kiev. The Grand Duchy of Moscow did not yet exist at that time, along with its imperial ambitions. After the Mongol invasion of the Kievan Rus in the 13th century, the historical destinies of the territories of modern Ukraine and Russia finally went different ways. Ukrainians continued to develop in a European context, while Russians joined the Mongolian Golden Horde. It was the Horde traditions that formed obedience to their ruler and his praise in the Grand Duchy of Moscow. Since that moment, the Russians have sought to expand their territories, including at the cost of Ukrainian lands. However, even when Ukrainians were part of the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union, they never lost their identity. Language. First of all, Russia, striving to eradicate any differences between the Ukrainian and Russian peoples, started to target the language. They used to ban and destroy the Ukrainian language and called it ik, but it withstood. Russia attempted to wipe out the Ukrainian language for centuries. In 1627, the Russian Orthodox Church forbade keeping Ukrainian books. In 1863, the Voluev Circular forbade the printing of Ukrainian books. In 1876, the Ems Ukaz forbade Ukrainian performances and folk songs. It did not get better in the Soviet Union, where they tried to eradicate the Ukrainian language, considering it a manifestation of nationalism. Russia has been afraid of the Ukrainian language because it is not the same as Russian and destroys the myth of one people. Identity. For Ukrainians, freedom and life without coercion and pressure is a priority. A 2020 poll showed that Ukrainians value freedom even more than security and equality. And in Russia, these indicators are significantly lower and have never prevailed over their very own security. In the history of Russians, there is no concept of struggle for independence, but imperial aggression, which has been going on for over 400 years, is firmly rooted there. Governance. Ukrainians are a modern democratic nation that knows how to fight for their rights. Whoever leads Ukraine must reckon with public opinion. Russia, on the contrary, has always had a fixation on autocracy, where no power is in the hands of one person. The presence of civil society and the understanding of fundamental values, such as freedom and dignity, is the factor that distinguishes these two peoples. So the brotherhood of the Ukrainian and Russian peoples is the creation of Russian propaganda, which wants to justify the seizure of Ukraine's territories. There is no brotherhood between these peoples. They're different at all levels, and Ukraine must finally get out of this vice grip.